want to go back to Europe for a moment, though, because you said they're not doing a lot of things right in your view, and just
well, they can't be doing right because look what's happened.
Well, your administration just released a new national security strategy that sent shockwaves throughout Europe. The strategy says a key pillar of American foreign policy should be, quote, cultivating resistance to Europe's current trajectory within European nations. How much should European leaders prepare for your administration to push to reshape the continent's politics?
Well, Europe is a different place.
What do you mean by that?
And if it keeps going the way it's going, Europe will not be, in my opinion, many of those countries will not be viable countries any longer. Their immigration policy is a disaster. What they're doing with immigration is a disaster. We had a disaster coming, but I was able to stop it. You know, we have no people coming through our borders now. 0, 7 months. I mean, who would believe 0? We went from millions of people, in some cases millions of people a month.
0 people, that's just impossible, and this is a straight up lie. But it is true that Donald Trump actually stopped the mass immigration. I mean, we still don't have the wall there, but that's another discussion for now. What he said about Europe, this is so true. You can't deny that mass immigration is completely changing all these European countries.
But millions of people to no people.
That's not what Europe looks like.
The opposite, yeah. I know Europe. They're coming in from all parts of the world, not just the Middle East. They're coming in from the Congo, tremendous numbers of people coming from the Congo. And even worse, they're coming from prisons of the Congo and many other countries. And for some reason, they want to be politically correct, which actually I think is the opposite of politically correct. But they want to be politically correct, and they don't want to send them back to where they came from. And Europe is, if you take a look at Paris, it's a much different place. I loved Paris. It's a much different place than it was. If you take a look at London, you have a mayor named Khan. He's a horrible mayor. He's an incompetent mayor, but he's a horrible, vicious, disgusting mayor. I think he's done a terrible job. London's a different place. I love London. I love London. And I hate to see it happen. You know, my roots are in Europe, as you know.
Right.
And I hate to see that happen. This is one of the great places in the world, and they're allowing people just to come in and unchecked, unvetted.
So how involved are you going to get? I mean, could we see you getting involved in European elections,
I want to run the United
example?
States. I don't want to run Europe.
Very good. America first and Americans first. This is very important. But we should be worried about what is happening in Europe. Because, of course, one, they are our biggest ally. Our ancestors came from there, many of our ancestors. And 3, probably many people who are watching this video, they still have related family living in Europe. So we should be worried about this. And again, I want to make this very clear. I have nothing against immigration. I'm a legal migrant myself from Europe, so I would be a hypocrite to say this. But at this level, mass immigration, what we see now in Europe, like this is just way too much. And like this is just like completely changing this whole continent, all these countries. Just compare these big cities, these countries with like 20 years ago, and it's like a difference between day and night. And this is because of mass immigration. This is just a fact. So I can understand that Donald Trump is a little bit worried about this.
I'm involved in Europe very much.
Might you endorse
NATO
candidates?
calls me daddy. I mean, I have a lot to say about it. Look, I raised, you know, the GDP from 2% to 5%. The 2% they weren't paying and the 5% they are paying. And they're paying it because when we send things over, NATO pays for it, and I assume they give it to Ukraine. But Europe is being destroyed.
Would you consider getting involved in some of those elections to put in leaders that you think are better suited?
Well, I've endorsed people, but I've endorsed people that a lot of Europeans don't like. I've endorsed Viktor Orban. I endorsed, go back to South America, Latin America, South America, Milei, Argentina. He was losing in the election, and I endorsed him, and he won in a landslide.
Yeah, with Viktor Orban, beyond endorsing, he recently said that you promised him access to U.S.-backed financial shield worth up to $20 billion. Is that right?
No, I didn't promise him, but he certainly asked for it. But
would you consider giving that to him?
I just think he's doing a very good job in a different sense on immigration. His country's landlocked. You know, he's got a different kind of a country. He doesn't have the sea, so he can't have ships coming in with energy. He's got a big pipe coming in from Russia. They've had it for a long time. It's a different situation he's got.
So would you consider some financial assistance there?
he's really gotten right is the immigration, because he allows nobody in his country. And Poland has done a very good job in that respect too. But most European nations, they're decaying. They're decaying.
You can imagine some leaders in Europe are a little freaked out by what your posture is, and European.
No, they should be freaked out by what they're doing to their countries. They're destroying their countries.
Well, European.
This is again a very good point Donald makes here. These people, these European leaders, they should freak out what is happening to their countries at this point, and don't shoot the messenger. Like, then they're gonna blame Donald Trump for this? No, Donald Trump is just a guy who says this, and then they're gonna say that he is the bad guy. No, they should be worried about their own countries, because so many people in Europe, believe me, there are so many Europeans who don't trust their leaders anymore, who feel betrayed by their own leaders because of this as well. Like, the mass immigration is a big factor why so many people are annoyed by their leaders, because they feel like they are not doing anything about this. So then say that Donald Trump is the bad guy, really? That says already enough about some of these European leaders. They're just like crazy.
Council
and
President.
they're people I like. Look, they're people I like. I get along with them. You know that. But they can't let this happen. And it gets to a point where you can't really correct it. There'll be a point, and it's very close to that
And
point.
what will that mean?
It will mean that they're no longer going to be strong nations.
Does that mean they won't be allies
Or
anymore?
they'll be, well, it depends, it depends. They'll change their ideology, obviously, because the people coming in have a totally different ideology. But it's going to make them much weaker. They'll be much weaker, and they'll be much different.
And what will that mean for our relationship
look at
with
your mayor
them?
of London. He's a disaster. He's a disaster. He's got a totally different ideology of what he's supposed to have. And he gets elected because so many people have come in and they vote for him now, because, it's like, it's one of those things. But I hate what's happened to London, and I hate what's happened to Paris. I hate when I see it.
Sir, it's sometimes hard to tell when you say these things. Do you intend to send kind of a message of tough love to our allies to push them to make reforms? Or do you think that many of them are just weak and you don't really want to be allies with them?
I think they're weak, but I also think that they want to be so politically correct. I think they don't know what to do. Europe doesn't know what to do. They don't know what to do on trade either. I mean, I look at a lot of the trade situation that's going on over there. It's a little bit dangerous, but Europe, they want to be politically correct, and it makes them weak. That's what makes them weak.
It sounds like you want to see some pretty massive changes.
Well, I think they should get the people out that came into the country illegally.
Sorry, but what is up with this interviewer? Like, seriously, like, it looks like she is like pro-illegal immigration or something, that she is like surprised that Donald Trump says that you have to remove illegal immigrants. Like, come on, like, if you are an illegal immigrant, you are already wrong, because you arrived in a country illegal. That's already wrong, right? Again, I have nothing against legal migrants, or like if you are just a migrant and you go to a country and you bring addition and you love the country where you go to, I have nothing but respect. But what is wrong with removing illegal migrants, right? These people arrived illegally. They committed already a crime the moment they arrived. So this interview is like surprised by the answer of Donald Trump. That's kind of weird.
I want to ask about NATO.
If you take a look at Sweden, so Sweden was known as the safest country in Europe, one of the safest countries in the world. Now it's known as a very unsafe, pretty unsafe country. It's not even believable. It's a whole different country, Sweden.
Well, and Sweden most recently joined NATO. One of the things that the national security strategy says is that the U.S. should work toward ending the perception and preventing the reality of NATO as a perpetually expanding alliance. Are there countries in NATO that you think shouldn't be in the alliance?
Well,
Sweden,
there
for
are
example?
countries that are difficult for NATO. Not that they shouldn't be. I think it's good to have them. Turkey's an example. Erdogan, he's a friend of mine. Whenever they have a problem with Erdogan, they ask me to call because they can't speak to him. He's a tough cookie. I actually like him a lot. I think actually, look, he's built a strong country, strong military, but they have a hard time dealing with him, and they ask me to call him. And I do call him, and I always work it out with him. He and I work it out really quickly. We had some people that he released that were taken and going through years and years of court cases and everything else. And I said, you got to release him. And he did. he is, very different than a lot of the other leaders. But they have a hard time with him, but, they shouldn't really have a hard time with him.
Should NATO stop accepting new members? Should NATO end where it is now?
Well, there aren't that many left when you get right down to it, right? There aren't that many left. It was always, long before Putin, it was an understanding that Ukraine would not be going into NATO. This was long before Putin, in all fairness. And now they pushed, when Zelensky first went in and first met Putin, he said, I want two things. I want Crimea back, and we're going to be a member of NATO. He didn't say it in a very nice way either, He's a great salesman. I call him P.T. Barnum. You know who P.T. Barnum was, right?
I do.
One of the greatest on earth. He could sell any product at any time. That was his expression. I can sell any product at any time. It was true. He said, doesn't matter whether it works or not. But he's P.T. Barnum, he got crooked Joe Biden to give him $350 billion.
$350 billion. Do you hear that? This is insane, right? Like it's nothing. $350 billion. And this is the reason why I believe we should only add countries to NATO who bring addition. Why should we add countries who bring no addition and they only cost money? And they will also cause a lot of problems. For example, Ukraine, they can't even join NATO now because they are in the middle of a conflict. But what addition is gonna bring Ukraine towards NATO? And excuse me, but I'm a little bit tired that the United States, you and me, we have to work so hard, pay so many taxes to support and help the whole of the world. We should help ourselves at this point. We are paying so much taxes, and I feel like we are the only ones who actually care about our defense or military. All these other countries, they just use us. They just use us. And Americans are done with this. This is also why I said we need America first and America's first policy at this point. And we should stop being giving away our money and our military aid to all these countries. Meanwhile, they don't bring any contribution themselves. So I agree with Donald on this one.
And look what it got. It got him about 25% of his country is missing. And in all fairness to Biden, Obama gave away Crimea.
Right, that all happened in 2014.
Obama, because Crimea was the heart. I'm a real estate person at heart, right? I'm very good at real estate. And every time I look at that map, I said, oh, this Crimea is so beautiful. Wow. It's surrounded on four sides by ocean. It's only got a little piece of land to get to, to the main, Crimea is massive. But it connects the part of Ukraine that we talk about now, right, through a small little jetty. It's four sides of ocean in the warmest part. It's got the best weather, best everything. And I know you are Ukrainian, and you know Ukraine very well. And Obama forced them to give up Crimea. That was I remember when it happened, but I wasn't involved like I am now. To the knowledge that I have now, I have great knowledge of Ukraine now. I have great knowledge of many countries.
This conflict began back in 2014. People forget, long before the invasion of a few years ago.
Well, you know when this conflict really began, though? It was simmering for years, but when Obama gave up Crimea, that was a big thing.
I do want to ask...
do you agree with that? That was a big piece to give up. You are of Ukrainian descent.
That was a major, I remember, when I first moved to the United States, a lot of people didn't know what Ukraine even was. And it was in 2014 that people suddenly started to realize how significant geopolitically that area really is.
I just say, from the standpoint of beauty, weather, everything, Crimea is the warmest. It's just got such great potential. And Obama forced them. Obama did this. This is not Biden. Well, maybe he was involved, but I doubt it. He probably didn't know too much then either. He was never the brightest bulb.
He was not the brightest bulb, really, bro. I like it that Donald Trump is always sneaky, low-key, attacking Biden still until today. Every interview, he's roasting Biden, in a funny way. But again, what he said is true. It was Barack Obama who actually gave away Crimea. This has nothing to do with Joe Biden. I have to make this point. It is true that Barack Obama was fully responsible for this, not Joe Biden. Maybe Joe Biden, helped him a little bit, but it was Barack Obama to blame for, giving away Crimea. This is spot on what Donald just said.
But, you know, Obama gave away. He made them give it away.
Well, I do think your approach to Europe is so different than any of your predecessors. And
I just want to see a strong Europe.
And this national security strategy, I mean, says a lot about the changes that you want.
No, but you have to understand. Here's my approach to Europe. I want to see a strong Europe. When they allow millions of people to pour into their countries, many of these people are committing tremendous crimes. And again, look at Sweden. I'm not knocking Sweden. I love Sweden. I love the people of Sweden. But they go from a crime-free country to a country that has a lot of crime now. Look at Germany. Germany was crime-free, and Angela made two big mistakes: immigration and energy. But those two are beauties.
Well, one country that is pleased with the change in strategy from the United States is Russia. A Kremlin spokesperson called the strategy document a, quote, positive step, and said the adjustments they're seeing are, quote, largely consistent with Moscow's vision. Do you think that's a good thing?
Well, I think he'd like to see a weak Europe. And so, you know, to be honest with you, he's getting that. That has nothing to do with me.
But he thinks the changes that you're making and what you laid out in your vision for Europe is what Moscow wants to see.
I have no vision for Europe. All I want to see is a strong Europe. Look, I have a vision for the United States, America first. It's make America great again. I do explain to Europe because I think, you know, I'm supposed to be a very smart person. I have eyes. I have ears. I have knowledge. I have vast knowledge. I see what's happening. I get reports that you will never see. And I think it's horrible what's happening to Europe. I think it's endangering Europe as we know it. Europe could be a whole different place.
Your impact.
And I think the European people should do something about it.
Your impact does stretch far beyond Europe. I want to talk about another area where you're making your mark, which is in Venezuela.
Alright, so I will leave this topic for another video because this is also a very interesting topic. But what Donald Trump just said, like, normally you guys know me. I'm not like, I like Donald Trump, but at this point I don't agree with him on many things because he is not America first. He is acting like America first, but in reality he is not America first. He cares more about these foreign wars, these foreign conflicts than our own country. But that's also another discussion for now. In this video, I actually believed that Donald Trump did a really good job. Everything he said, I completely agree with him. It's so true that what is happening with Europe now because of mass immigration, this beautiful country is just like changing so fast. It's actually insane. And again, I want to make this very clear. I have nothing against migration. I would be a hypocrite myself, like I said before. I'm a legal migrant myself. But at this level, the mass immigration, it has just been way too much, and it's completely changing all these countries. And this is just a fact. You can see it with your own eyes. Compare these beautiful cities where Donald just talked about, Paris, London, but also many more, almost like all cities in Western Europe now. Just compare these cities with like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and it's like crazy what happened to these beautiful cities, these beautiful countries. It's just such a shame. Even me as an original European myself, it's literally like it hurts my feelings if I see what is happening over there. But again, this is my opinion. I'm very curious about your opinion. Like, do you agree with Donald? Do you actually also believe that something has to change in Europe at this point? I'm really curious about your opinion. Please share your opinion in the comments. Very important to say, I read all comments. I even try to reply to all of your comments, so I'm always very curious. And if you like this kind of videos, please hit the like button. If you really like this kind of videos, consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it even more. And last but not least, guys, I wish you all the best. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!